So, isn't it funny that a video we made about bad sequels is in and of itself getting a sequel?
What have we done?
Work.
It was stylistically designed to be that way.
Hey, maybe Hollywood will consider hiring us to make a franchise if we can make sequels like this.
Let's just run it into the ground.
Yeah.
What? Wait, what? You like that thing from the last movie? Okay, let's just do that multiple times now.
Yeah, no, so, Cody, what we're going to do is we're just going to do exactly what we did in the last podcast episode. We're going to do more of it. We're going to talk about more franchises that should have died.
Yeah.
Back to so to speak. I'm Evan Mead.
I'm Lyle Groniger.
And we have Cody McDonald back for more franchises that should have quit while they were ahead.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Oh,
Hey, do you guys want to know an analogy that I have about franchises?
Yeah.
let's hear it.
So, imagine a parent tucking their child into bed at night and they read them a bedtime story. And it's a very compelling bedtime story. And then the kid falls asleep after they say, and they lived happily ever after. All right, good night. And then the child goes to sleep. And then the parent comes back in and turns on the light and goes, but wait, there's more. And then they go on and talk about more of the story.
I think Cody. I think to add to that analogy, like when the kid hears the end of the story, he's like, "And then what happened? And then what happened?" And then like the more they add to the story, the sooner the more tired the kid gets.
The Simpsons.
Well, that's where
falls
it's
asleep.
debatable. It's whether
Guys?
or not does the audience want to see more, or
Yeah.
is it just because, oh, this movie was successful financially, I guess we'll make a sequel. But do really people want to see a sequel, or are we just going to take a
Sometimes.
stab at it?
Early on,
The Simpsons literally made a joke about this, where in Lisa's first word, where they show Bart as a 2-year-old, and it's like, and then the princess married the prince, and they lived happily ever after. And then what happened? They had 30 sons and 30 daughters. What were their names? Mavis, Brad, Mavis.
Brad. She says Brad twice.
Yeah, because yeah.
But with sequels, okay, they're only acceptable if there's room for expansion.
yeah.
Well, that's why when I was talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, like I have mixed feelings about where it should have ended. I feel like it felt like it was warranted with a continue after the first one, and it could have stopped at the third one, but they had to make 5. But realistically, the 1 was enough.
5 is such a lumpy way to end a franchise.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But unless the sequel dives deeper into the elements that worked well in the first movie, but they build off on that, that's really the only time that a sequel works. Which is what most of the movies that we're talking about last week and tonight we're going to get into. So
Yeah.
let's start it off.
All right. I guess since I started last time, I'll start again.
Okay.
So, the holidays are coming up, boys. And if there's one series
Yeah.
that's really probably just the perfect way to start the season is none other than John McTiernan's Die Hard.
Yes, so you guys agree. This is a Christmas movie, right?
Yes, I agree. It is a Christmas movie, takes place in Christmas. As does the second one, I believe.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
How
could
It's actually funny.
happen to the
It's actually
same
funny.
guy twice?
What's ironic is the first 2 Die Hard movies take place on Christmas. The third one doesn't. The fourth one takes place on the 4th of July. Get it? Because the fourth one. And the fifth one was released on Valentine's Day and doesn't take place on any holiday. I don't remember.
What the fuck?
Well, you know what's kind of a funny coincidence is that people say that, because Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and then Die Hard 2 is also a movie that takes place around Christmas time. Home Alone is basically the kids' version of Die Hard.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also, the second movie takes place in Christmas, so it's very comparable. There's
Yeah,
a
the
very
second one
big
takes
comparison.
place in New York, just like the third Die Hard.
Yeah.
Well, no. It goes like John McClane is stuck in a building in the first movie, and Kevin McAllister's stuck at home. But then in the second movie, John
Yeah.
McClane's it's a bigger
Surrounded it.
scale. He's in an airport, and then Kevin McAllister in the second movie is in the whole city of New York. So
And
very
unlike
comparable.
Die Hard, Die Hard didn't have any former presidents running around in cameos, did he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Fucking Kevin.
Emphasis
McAllister
on
asking,
former.
Where's the lobby, Mr. Trump? It's down the hallway to the right.
Yeah. Have you seen all the parodies with that joke where it's like a soundbite from something bad that Trump said at something? I am so glad we're never gonna have to complain about this asshole again. Moving on.
Yes, moving.
Yeah.
So, to sum up Die Hard best, it's all about a cop who's at the wrong place at the wrong time. Each and every installment, it's the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So in the first one, he's in
Story of my life.
he's in Nagatomi Plaza, about to enjoy Christmas with his ex-wife because he wants to see his kids over the holidays. So,
Oh no, they're married. They're married.
are they still married, or are they? Oh wait,
Yeah.
divorced
Holly
yet?
and
But they were
John-
like they're having
No,
marital
no.
troubles. That's right.
No. So yeah, Holly and John are married in the first movie, but they're
Yeah, that's
having
right.
issues.
It's very hard to keep
then-
track because it's like, yeah, they're okay. Sorry. They are
Yeah.
still married, but they're having marital difficulties because John's in New York and she's in Los Angeles. Is
Yeah,
it?
no, he's a New York
Los
cop who
Angeles
goes
at
to
the
LA.
Rockefeller Plaza.
Yeah, Los
And
Angeles.
he flies from New York to
So you
He
think
comes out to
it's
the-
like
he comes out to the ghost to get together, have a few laughs.
have a few laughs, yeah. Fucking vent. Yeah. So you think, all right, well, okay, so it's just family drama, blah blah, and then the Europeans come in. European terrorists come in to take over, and they infiltrate the entire building, and they hold the head of the company hostage, for they want something inside of his secret vault in the top of the building. So John McClane, being the only inside authority figure in the entire building that isn't accounted for, it's up to him to liberate the building and stop the criminals and save his wife on Christmas. So yes, very simple premise. And what I like about it, one thing I actually really like about Die Hard is its use of geography.
Yes.
And the fact that there's only a finite amount of enemies that he has to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't know how many exactly. I think it's like 12 or something, maybe more, maybe less. But anyway, there's only a handful of of like henchmen in the group, and a really excellent mastermind played by Alan Rickman.
Hans Gruber.
Gruber, one of my favorite villains. Oh my god.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
It's a nice suit, Mr. Nagatomi. I'd hate to stain it.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I love about just the character of John McClane in this is that he is the everyman.
Yeah, no, he's not a Stallone. He's not a Schwarzenegger. He's a regular ass guy, a schlub.
Well,
if you
to be
will.
fair, he is a police officer. He's a cop.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, he's not like an action hero type where it's like
Yeah. I guess.
guns blazing, like
Yeah.
muscles ripped and all that. He's an average looking dude
Yeah.
who doesn't like flying, and he's like having troubles with his marriage and stuff, and he's like lives so far away from his family and all that. It's nice, and yeah, you really get behind him, and you want him. And the best part is, another thing that's cool about John McClane is he's not invincible. He has
Yes.
to be very, very resourceful and careful in every single action that he embarks in. When he's in a shootout and there's glass all over the floor and he has no choice but to run through the glass, it severely cuts up his feet.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest scenes is when the roof's about to blow up, he has no way out, and the only thing he can do is to tie a fucking fire hose around him and bungee off the building and try to crash through a nearby window.
And Lyle, those two things you mentioned were factored into the NES game based off of
Yeah.
Die Hard.
Oh yeah, I haven't played that fucking thing.
Yeah.
But
It's very important that you actually mention that broken glass scene, Lyle, because that's a very important scene that reminds us that he's human. Because upon each entry in the Die Hard movies, and we'll get to those, he just basically becomes like a superhuman, and it doesn't even matter if he's vulnerable to anything that we would relate to.
Yeah. That's the thing about John McClane. He's likable. He's not invincible, but he's determined and very crafty as well.
Do you know who the cinematographer for this movie was?
Who was Don DeBont, right?
Yeah, Jean de Bont.
John DeBont, yeah.
Yeah, Jean de Bont did the cinematography for a lot of movies, like the Hunt for Red October, and
oh, nice.
Yeah, a lot of films. And then his directorial debut was Speed,
which is like the best Die Hard knockoff ever.
It's Die Hard on a bus.
Bring up this Die Hard spawned a ton of
imitators,
off-brand imitator movies. But what I find intriguing is that in the imitator movies, the protagonists are superhuman compared to John McClane, who's just an average guy. I'll give you a couple examples. In Under Siege, you have Steven Seagal, who plays a martial arts master who is taking terrorists on board a battleship.
But he's the cook.
In Air Force One, you have Harrison Ford as the president who beats up terrorists with his bare hands as they try to hijack his plane.
Get off my plane.
He even created one of the funniest lines in action movie history. He grabs Gary Oldman by the parachute belt and he extends the chute and strangles Gary Oldman and snaps his neck. Get off my plane. And then in another Die Hard knockoff, which came out very recently, Olympus Has Fallen, Die Hard in the White House. Gerard Butler is this Gerard Butler is an invincible as fuck Secret Service agent. He does get cut up a little bit, but other than that,
Well, no, you said Olympus Has Fallen, but the same year, White House Down.
White House Down isn't a Die Hard knockoff, though.
But they are very similar in concept.
They're copycat movies.
White House Under Siege. Get it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Die Hard is a fucking classic. It's probably like a master class in action filmmaking.
Absolutely.
I recommend everyone to watch it. I guess it's a little early to say, but yeah, it is the highest of the franchise.
Yeah.
But moving on.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Indeed.
And then shooting the
right
in the face.
It has the best shot of a guy falling off a building that you'll ever see. Oh my God.
Did you know that they let him go on one? They're supposed to count to three for
Alan Rickman there?
What?
Oh yeah, when they do that slow motion shot and he just drops and you see the
Alan Rickman was supposed to just be dropped on the number 3. They were supposed to say 1, 2, 3, we'll let you go, but they said 1, and then they dropped him, and that shot in the movie of him in slow motion of him reacting.
That's so brilliant because it's authentic.
Yeah.
I hope that wasn't a hostage.
Yeah.
Oh man, so good. So moving on to Die Hard 2, which I'll be honest, I haven't watched in a very, very long time, but basically it is essentially the same idea, same day, same like he wants to visit his wife, but he's waiting at an airport, and lo and behold, another.
What actually happened is that John McClane's at the airport trying to pick up Holly. But Holly's on one of the planes that gets hijacked by these terrorists that are taking over the airport.
Another terrorist situation.
They're controlling the runway. They're controlling the radars. They're throwing planes off of balance in terms of are they going to land or not. So there's 3 planes that are essentially getting hijacked, and
they're all doing this to liberate a political prisoner that they.
Yeah. That's right.
Their leader.
It's funny. Before I saw this movie and I saw the poster, I thought it was going to be like Air Force One or Passenger 57. I thought it was John McClane, a Die Hard on a plane. But it's actually
Fly Hard.
Fly Hard.
Fly Hard. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But
I don't.
It ended up doing things
Rennie
differently.
Harlan directed this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing, it has a very short cameo by Robert Patrick.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
where like the SWAT team's like, "Hey, who do you think we are?" Sit and duck.
Oh,
This would have been right before Terminator 2.
yeah.
So
I really like
before
that. That's
good.
cool.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Die Hard 2 is just it's a fine, competent sequel.
It's
I
not
always just,
terrible, but it's not all that.
yeah.
It doesn't
It's just
stick in my mind very easily.
it's a movie that was actually rushed into like after Die Hard became like a box.
Oh, I
office
can
success.
tell. It's
Yeah.
very,
Everyone loved
very,
it.
very similar
Like
to the
they
first one.
immediately jumped into making a sequel. Yeah, they jumped immediately to make a sequel to this because it was such a big hit.
Yeah, it does
It had
feel
a
like
cool
a cash
ending.
grab.
I don't know if you guys remember how he defeats the villains at the end. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. He lets out the gas. Basically, the villains are flying off in the getaway plane, and he manages to like damage one of the fuel tanks, and it starts leaking fuel onto the tarmac. He rolls off, and he takes a lighter. I don't know who gave it to him, and he's like, I don't know what his final line was, but he just like lets it out on the strip, and it sets on fire and blows up.
Was
the entire ship.
Was his final line, "You're fired"?
I don't even remember. That's the
No,
problem.
that's the final line from Arnold in True Lies, but I'm just joking.
Yes,
It's a better action movie too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, guys. I don't really have much to say about Die Hard 2. It just kind of came and went. But
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
but moving on, we go to Die Hard with a Vengeance. And
Yeah.
I'm thirsty. I'm just getting a drink.
okay,
I know.
How'd you drink? Now,
I know you want me to freeze.
yeah, I can't believe The Incredibles actually referenced this movie. It's so cool. So, returning, we have Bruce Willis and director John McTiernan back.
Yes.
And I gotta say, it's kind of it's a break from the formula. It's not set in Christmas. In fact, it's set in the summer of New York City, which is a smoggy place to be. Basically, the idea of the film is that Hans Gruber's brother, Simon, I think his name is. He goes by Simon. I don't know if that's his real name.
Simon Says.
Yeah, Simon Says. So basically, what he has is this elaborate fucking almost Riddler level of like puzzles that he personally wants John McClane to go through step by step by step. And it's all really just an elaborate ruse for him to steal the reserves from
Wall Street.
Yeah, Wall Street. I was gonna say Fort Knox, but no, that's Goldfinger.
Yeah.
That's Battlefield Earth.
That too. Yeah, so like and along the way, John McClane comes in contact with a store owner, played by Samuel Jackson, and this set a very interesting new element to the series. John McClane has a sidekick. Now, John McClane technically had a sidekick in the first movie, I believe in the second movie with Powell, Officer Powell, who was on the outside kind of trying to keep the guys who want to storm the building at bay, because we got a guy here. He knows what he's doing. He knows the building front and back. He's our guy. So there was that element, but now it's in the forefront because Samuel Jackson tags along throughout most of the movie, helping John McClane out with all of these puzzles.
Yeah.
I got to say, for a third installment, this is a really good Die Hard sequel, in my personal opinion.
No, it's definitely the best sequel to Die Hard.
Yeah, it's not better than Die Hard, but I love it a lot.
It's a proper sequel because I like that connection with the first movie. It being like there's it's Hans Gruber's brother getting revenge on him.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It feels connected.
Yeah.
And yeah, the chemistry
Jeremy
between
Irons.
the chemistry between Butch and Jules. Oh, sorry, I meant to say John and
yeah, it's a Pulp Fiction reunion, everybody.
yeah, John and Zeus. Sorry, not Butch and Jules.
Yeah, Zeus. That was his name.
Hey, which came out first, Die Hard 3 or Pulp Fiction?
Pulp Fiction a year before.
Okay.
Yeah. It's such a and I actually just rewatched it again recently. I forgot how like relentlessly action packed it is. Like
No, it's really good.
not just like action packed in terms of like you need set pieces, but the movie is constantly moving at a great pace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, do you guys know about the alternate ending to this movie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was like a standoff between Simon and John McClane.
It's way better than the ending to this movie.
Yeah, wasn't it something like John McClane holds a bazooka up to Simon or something?
He plays like a game of Simon Says with John plays like a game of Simon Says with
I'm gonna look up and see if his actual name was Simon because I don't know if it was or not. But yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. It's a tongue twister. John plays a game of Simon Says with Simon, and he removes like the whatever end of the bazooka is to determine whether or not what is the firing end of it. So they're basically spinning it, and he's asking questions, and then they basically he kills himself accidentally. But like people didn't like that because I think test audiences felt like, oh, John McClane's portrayed a little bit like a villain at the end of that movie. But
that is kind of a weird note, if I'm being honest. But
it's sort of a complex note to end it off on. But then they had to quickly like slap together a very rushed anticlimactic ending, which was just, oh, we'll shoot the wire, and then the helicopter blows up, and then that's it.
Yeah. Fuck, let him cook.
Yeah, it felt a bit like it didn't really match the same type of energy as the whole film.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll grant it. The ending's a bit of an odd note, but it doesn't sink the experience all that much. But I see what you mean.
Now here's an interesting thing that I'll bring up about the Die Hard movies is that it's hard to say on whether or not this should have been a franchise or just a singular movie because we do have some solid entries that come out afterwards, but like you'd be surprised on like there were certain Bruce Willis action films that with just a couple little tweaks they could have been some solid Die Hard movies. Last Boy Scout.
Last Boy Scout, okay, I haven't seen.
Yeah, honestly, with a couple of tweaks, the Last Boy Scout could have been a great sequel to Die Hard with a Vengeance. It could have been It could have been a Die Hard 4.
Can I just say one thing? The plot of this movie you just described, where it's like a cop goes after a terrorist who is setting up like a Riddler-like conflict. It feels like if Warner Brothers ever got the idea to make a prequel origin story about the life of Jim Gordon on the Gotham Police Force, they would probably copy the plot of this movie and have him go up against like who would become the guy who would become the Riddler.
Edward Nygma,
yeah.
Yeah, I guess. It kind of just sounds like Gotham, the TV show.
Yeah.
But basically, sorry. Before we move on, what I was about to, my point is that like if you, I guess, enjoy Bruce Willis action films where his character acts like a smartass, then I guess you'll get like a good Die Hard vibe, like a good kick out of it. But like, does it have to be associated with Die Hard? I don't think so.
Yeah. Actually, the funny thing was this script for Die Hard with a Vengeance wasn't even originally a Die Hard script. It was just a film called Simon Says. And then they just put John McClane in there.
Funny enough, Lyle, I don't know if you know this, but Lethal Weapon 4 was supposed to be a sequel to Die Hard with a Vengeance.
I can kind of believe that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Until it was retooled and just repackaged, and it sold off between studios, like from Fox to Warner Bros.
So, nice.
Yeah, all they basically had to do was just change the names. That's it.
Yeah, kind of like 10 Cloverfield Lane too. That probably wasn't a Cloverfield film until Bad Robot snatched it up.
Yeah.
Isn't script writing great? You make an idea, and it's like, oh, this feels like I don't know, like a speed movie. Let's make a speed movie. But my movie's not a speed movie. Yes, it is. It is now. And you sit the fuck down and we'll take your idea. You think just because you have an idea that it belongs to you? Suck it up, Buttercup. All right, moving along. We have kind of a contestable entry, but one that I don't think is as bad as some people make it out to be. Live Free or Die Hard. The fourth.
Yeah, I find this a guilty pleasure, kind of a fun movie,
Yeah, it's all right.
but it's not a great film.
No,
Like
better
it's
than the
over
second
the
one.
top in a very fun way.
Yeah. But some people complained, like the average. I don't know what the other Die Hard movies are rated. The other three were rated R before this one, right?
Yeah. John McClane could actively say, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!"
Yeah.
This movie got screened in theaters with a PG-13 rating. However, they did release an unrated cut on DVD when that came out.
Yeah, that was a popular thing to do at the time.
But yeah, no.
The unrated cut is actually the cut that I'm used to. I watch that way more than the theatrical.
Oh, yeah. But
anytime I catch it on TV and it's the theatrical and he like says, "How about yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker," and then kills the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on.
But what's really lame was that when the PG-13 cut was released in theaters, people still complained about the F-bomb drop, and I'm like, this is like, you know, this was before cancel culture was a problem. It's like, who the hell cares? Like, in a PG-13 movie, the rating system will allow you to drop one F-bomb in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
And movie studios take liberties with this more often than people are aware.
Yeah. Well, I guess to summarize this one, essentially, there's a cyber terrorist group. Yeah, more terrorism, I guess. And their actor, they just want to corrupt the entire United States network, I guess. And I forget if they want to steal something or not. It's been a little while too. I'm a little fuzzy on some of the details. But
they said it's a I forget the term that they use, but basically they're trying to take down like everything that is now run by computers and.
Oh yeah, they called it a fire sale, I think.
Yeah.
Fire sale, that's the term. Yeah, fire sale. Yeah.
So John McClane has to team up with this super hacker genius played by Justin Long.
He's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun in this movie.
He really is.
I kind of like him in the role, honestly. Like he works. He's a complete departure from your typical sidekick. He's not even like close to like Samuel L. Jackson's character in any way. He's just like this guy who's good with computers, which is nice because John McClane doesn't know the first thing about a goddamn computer.
Yeah,
that's the fun part of it.
When you're on a FaceTime, if you cover the mic, if you cover the camera, it doesn't cover the mic, so they can hear you.
Yeah, Justin Long's character is a great like contrast from John McClane because John in this movie, because he's so much older, he feels kind of like a fish out of water in the digital era.
Yeah, exactly.
Understanding technology. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love how he even talks down to Justin Long sometimes. Like, come on, we gotta go do this thing us old people. We gotta do this thing these old people call jogging. You ever heard of that? It's like, yeah. Man, can I have some ketchup packets and fucking dropping here? Oh, and then they have to meet up with Kevin Smith at one point. It was like this ultimate hacker, and I was like, dead. And then they would and Kevin Smith and Bruce Willis would later team up and make a thing called Cop Out. So.
Oh God! Well,
that's a whole new can of worms. I don't feel like going into that.
Kevin Smith's, filmography had some duds, and unfortunately,
well, not only that is the fact that like he now can't stand Bruce Willis because Bruce Willis.
He idolized Bruce Willis. I'm sure working with him in this Die Hard movie was like a dream come true.
Well, it was, but when he had to direct Bruce Willis and actually be the boss of Bruce Willis, that's when everything fell apart.
I can't tell. Was this movie like the kind of beginning of the era of zombie Bruce Willis?
Bruce Willis became really apathetic in the mid to late 2000s, so roughly this is when...
This was around that time,
yeah.
Well, no, I mean, zombie Bruce Willis was there, but there were still a few roles where it seemed like he did care, like Looper.
I loved him in.
Moonrise Kingdom.
Yeah, Moonrise Kingdom. I was just thinking of that.
There's some movies where he probably gave a shit.
Over the Hedge, where he provided his voice for the raccoon.
Yeah.
As much as this was a disappointing movie, Glass, he was not bad in reprising his role.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I guess he's not really full on zombie apathetic. I just want to go home. Bruce Willis in this one, he does. I still feel John McClane in the role.
well, now that leads us to.
But well, wait. I will say this movie kind of starts to jump the shark on how the fuck does he survive half of it. Takes a
Yeah.
car and somehow flies it off and like not even an off ramp, just like a bump or something, and destroys a helicopter with it.
No, he drives a car at full speed. He jumps out, and like you'd think his arm would be broken after jumping out, but like
Yeah.
it hits like a toll booth, and it actually ramps off and hits a helicopter.
Yeah,
and the
it
guy
ramps
jumps out
off
of the
nothing and
helicopter.
just destroys a fucking helicopter.
Then he has
And
to.
then
And then he's fighting like an F-16 or some.
No, an F-35.
Okay, I was close, but anyways, like a giant airplane or something, and it's a
it's a jet.
firing
It's a
off
jet.
at all cylinders at John, and I think he throws like a grenade into its wings or something, and he just through this narrow like concrete tarmac like road, like the bridge that's like broken off. He's like sliding down, and explosions just flying right behind him. I'm like, what happened? To the guy who was hurt by glass.
Okay, honestly, again,
didn't
as
think.
much as that is so over the top and so yeah, like jump the shark, definitely. Most of the action scenes in this movie look very in camera and practical. That I
No.
kind of give the movie props for at least
Yeah.
making it not so
All the
digital and
silliness
3D.
aside, yeah, it's fine. I'll take
Yeah.
it. Like it's still good. It doesn't take me out of the movie as much as the one we're coming up to. But like, yeah, it's all well and good. If this was like the last Die Hard movie, I'd accept it.
Yeah.
But no.
It's also kind of nice to see John's kids grow up too, because the movie actually focuses a lot of his relationship with his daughter, played by
Mary
a
Elizabeth.
pretty young Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
This was before.
Yeah. So sorry, just to backtrack to clarify, like, because you were kind of confused about like the marriage of John and Holly, is that it's established in Die Hard with a Vengeance that they were just splitting up. So that's why he's
Yeah.
like going on a drinking binge.
Yeah.
But I guess
Oh yeah, he
later
has a
on-
hangover the entire time. We forgot to mention that.
I got a fucking headache. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got
All right.
and I got a bad fucking migraine all fucking day.
All right. Take it. Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving
So,
on.
anyways, Live Free or Die Hard, not bad, pretty good. Moving.
Yeah.
Now we get into the one that I feel like just fucking made this series Die Hard. A Good Day to Die Hard. Yippee-ki-yay, Mother Russia.
Oh,
Which is
God.
the actual tagline of the movie.
No, this movie has some of the worst posters I've ever seen for a bigger film. You got to look at it, guys. Just type in these posters for A Good Day to Die Hard.
I'm gonna do that now, just to
Yeah,
kind of...
yeah. While Evan's doing that, I guess I'll just recant. There's like no plot to this movie, so it's so easy to break down.
And-
Basically,
I think this movie has the worst editing I've ever seen for any movie.
worst editing, worst action sequences, bad color grading. It's all fucking blue and gray. There's no life to any of it. Bad acting, like just everything is a downgrade from the other installments.
There's absolutely no excitement or enthusiasm in this
Like
movie.
Die Hard 2
and-
was a better sequel, for crying out loud. That was competent. But
Oh my
this is
God,
like-
these posters are color corrected horribly.
they look like something.
It feels like he's inside a volcano.
It looks like something you'd see at a $5 bin in Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so like the plot is basically John McClane.
And look at this Yippee-ki-yay Mother Russia poster. Like the you can barely read the
It
text.
looks
And
like Mr. Clean.
he really
Mr.
is that a real? Oh my God! Yeah. Oh, that's a real
No,
poster. for the
because I
movie.
heard stories. Bruce Willis will sometimes not even show up for like posters or anything, like any
Oh, that's funny.
any photo
This is
junkets
when-
or anything.
This is when he was like full on zombie Bruce Willis.
This is pathetic Bruce Willis who will come in for a day on some like low budget piece of shit, and he'll have his stunt double do most of the work.
But yeah, no, these posters are horrendous.
So yeah, the plot of A Good Day to Die Hard is essentially John McClane he's on vacation and he needs to go visit his son who has been arrested in Russia, so he's been told. So he goes there and it turns out his son is a CIA operative who's trying to like do a thing and stop some Russian bad guys. and John McClane tags along even though he has absolutely no jurisdiction. He just wants to kill people, I guess. A lot of fighting happens. They win and they go back to America. Yeah.
That's it.
Fuck, this was horrible. Like,
okay, I want to bring your attention. I want to bring both your attention to something that is mind blowing and shocking on the laziness and just the amount of indifference that was put into this movie. And I don't even know who to blame for this, the filmmakers or Bruce Willis. But this is quite a shocking thing that I discovered that not a lot of people pointed out.
Okay.
So there's a bit in this movie. Okay, so you just watched it recently, Lyle. So
I watched it. I think I literally watched it yesterday or the night before. Yeah.
Okay. So that first action chase scene in the cars where John McClane is like ramming the bad guy's car, and then it was right before their cars crashed, right?
Yeah.
So when I saw this movie in theaters with my buddy KJ, because we were kind of excited. We thought, hey, a Die Hard movie and it's rated R. Like we were kind of excited.
Yeah, that was
right?
the big selling point. It's back to rated R.
And there was a moment in this movie that both of us looked at each other because we knew exactly what we were thinking because we heard it, and we went online afterwards and eventually when this movie was available to watch at home, we were right. So there's a part in Live Free or Die Hard on that freeway scene where at the end where he's driving the truck and that jet is chasing him.
Yeah.
John McClane yells out, "Is that it? Huh? Is that your best shot?" And in A Good Day to Die Hard, they use that exact same audio track in this movie.
Oh my god. I don't even remember. I think I barely, vaguely remember him saying something like that. And yeah, it was kind of off-putting too. Yeah.
It's like ADR that was like thrown into the movie, but I was thinking, wow, you couldn't even got Bruce Willis to do proper looping for this movie? Are you kidding me?
Couldn't have just said the line again or have a different inflection?
It's the exact same. No, I'll try to show it to you. I'm not kidding. I've done it before where I show both of them back to back, and I kind of blow people's minds about it.
Oh, looky here, Cody the Scanner, blowing people's minds.
Yeah.
Crazy movie trivia.
My buddy KJ and I, we watched A Live Free or Die Hard a lot, and like we knew that line. And I think even right before we saw A Good Day to Die Hard, we rewatched Live Free. And it was still fresh in our minds, and we looked at each other like in the theater, and we're like, "That's the same take."
Yeah.
So that just showcases the laziness and indifference of this movie.
It just doesn't have any of the charm from the original Die Hard movies. Like the villain is the biggest laughing, joking numbnut I've ever seen.
I don't even remember who the villain is.
No, he's just some guy. He's like, oh, I could have been a dancer, but I'm going to be a terrorist and villain now. Ha ha ha.
Lyle, do you guys remember how...
No, because he has like this accent and he just keeps laughing and like Connie's like, oh, bad decision, man. Ah. And
Wait, do you guys remember how hesitant he was of jumping off a building in the first one?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this one, him and his son just flat out jump out of a fucking high story.
Take a shot every time you see John McClane smash through
Oh my god.
a solid object or a glass window and just be fine the next shot.
The scene that made me like hate this movie was when they jump into a abandoned building through concrete floors into a rancid swimming pool.
Oh, and
what the fuck?
Evan, you forgot to add in Chernobyl.
Oh, what the fuck?
They even say like, I'm worried about this radiation. What does it do? Makes you go bald. Makes you lose your hair. Don't have to worry about that.
Womp womp womp.
Anyways, I had one more note to say about this. Yeah, at this point, like, John McClane is Bruce Willis. Like, Bruce Willis is just playing himself, standing in a scene, chittering away with a really, really like poorly cast Jai Courtney.
Yeah. Jai
Yeah, honestly, if it wasn't for if
Jai
it
Courtney
wasn't for
did
his
better
role
stuff
in
this decade.
Boomerang, yeah, no, if it wasn't for his role in Boomerang, I would say he's like the worst, most blandest actor I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, his character is just annoying too, because the only thing I get from him is that he really hates his dad, and I'm not really all that. I don't really care why, because they're just gonna like have to stick together no matter what. But unlike the dynamic in Die Hard with a Vengeance, or even like Live Free or Die Hard, there's not really much dynamic being played. It's just like they kind of make jabs at each other, like, "Oh, you're getting older." I'm like, "Ah, well, you're just a kid," or "Oh,
Yeah,
remember when I used to take you to the swimming pool or whatever?" And it's just like, all right, this is all a lot of stuff that's been inferred. I don't know.
yeah, it's so boring. The
Yeah,
movie's
it's
so
boring,
fucking
too.
boring.
I just remember seeing this on Valentine's Day weekend 2013 when it came out with my dad because I didn't have a date that year, and yeah, my dad and my dad and I would go to the movies all the time, and we thought, oh, Die Hard, fun. We came out of that feeling drained, like what the fuck.
Yeah, no, I was exhausted watching this too. Like I didn't like it for 1 minute. I think the only two there's only two bits I like that made it feel like Die Hard. Oh yeah, I forgot one more thing. Another thing I didn't like about the movie is like they would constantly have gun battles. Just a wave after wave of people with guns running around shooting each other. I'm like, this isn't interesting. I liked it back in the first movie where I knew there was only like 20 of these dudes and John McClane had to be very careful as to how he took care of them and dispatched them. And in this, it's just like bam, 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 and it's mind numbing, and I hate it. But anyways, like, where was I? I'm losing my mind here. Oh yeah, the two scenes I liked was I liked the bit where it's really early in the beginning where he's like in the cab with the Russian guy, just chattering away, kind of talking about like life in America and all that, and the cab guy is playing off of him, and it kind of reminded me of the thing in the first movie with Argyle, the cab,
Yeah,
the limo driver,
yeah.
drove him to Nakatomi Plaza.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, I can see
That was a
that.
cute bit.
Yeah, with the Russian cabbie, yeah.
Yeah, the Russian cabbie was all right. He wasn't in it for long, but whatever. And then the second bit with where Jai Courtney and Bruce Willis, I'm not even referring to them by their character names anymore. They confront the big bad guy, not the real numbnut bad guy, but the real bad guy, and he acts all like, "Oh no, it wasn't me, it was them. They're the evil ones. I'm just trying to survive." And it's kind of like what Hans Gruber did when like John McClane finally came face to face and was like, "Oh God, please don't shoot me! Oh, I just got back from the party," and he has to change his voice and everything and his entire attitude. But that was a dumb scene, anyways. It got really stupid because it's just like they just punched the guy a few times. It's like, "You're coming with us."
Doesn't he always yell, "I'm on vacation" in this movie?
He does. He's always like, "I'm on vacation." I'm like, I thought you were picking your son up from prison.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Vacation. You're literally just like being a father or whatever. I don't know. Like,
But you guys, after you're done here, you should Google. There's something that just got released recently. It's like a 2-minute short on, or not a short, I would say. It's like a commercial for this battery called Die Hard Batteries, where Bruce Willis reprises his role as John McClane in this like just action-packed commercial for batteries.
for fucking batteries.
I think we
And it is far better. Those 2 minutes are far better than A Good Day to Die Hard.
I haven't seen this movie. Apparently in Lego Movie 2, Bruce Willis actually reprises as John Wayne, and like the characters are running through a vent, and they just bump into him. It's like, "Oh hey, I was just talking to myself."
You said John Wayne,
John
not
McClane.
Yeah.
John Wayne McClane.
I saw
Oh, boy,
Lego
after all.
Movie 2, and I don't even remember that scene.
I
Oh,
can't confirm nor deny because I haven't seen the movie. I just heard of it. Anyway,
Honestly, in short,
I-
it's like when you really look at these Die Hard movies, you think to yourself, it's kind of like that show 24 with Jack Bauer. It's like,
I happen
it's
to
not a bad comparison actually.
I have
how much can this man take, basically? Like,
I
how
happen to
much
think
can this man take?
Cody, I happen to think 24 is one of the best shows ever made. I love that show so much.
I remember watching the first season and feeling like, yeah, this is clearly Die Hard, but like a day.
Yeah.
I just remember the Simpsons parody.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it myself.
Yeah.
So I need to wrap up my thoughts on Die Hard because I've been talking at great length about it. I'm sorry.
At
about
what
that.
point do you feel like it should have stopped?
Well, that's the weird thing because I don't hate most of the sequels except for the very last one. I think they're all perfectly passable.
So do you think it's like Pirates for me, where I really dislike the last two, but the first three are fine?
I think they just should have like hung their hats on the fourth one and just been like, all right, we're done. We've had our fun. I think it's time to retire. Or maybe just made a better fifth one. I don't know. But the fifth.
Can I say one more point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only way that they can save this franchise is that if they bring back John McTiernan and they have Bruce Willis come back and he actually gives a shit and they name this next and final movie Good Habits Die Hard.
That could be good.
That's a pretty good end. That's a pretty good.
Oh no, Old Habits.
Old Habits Die Hard.
That's even better. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, what the fuck is John McTiernan doing these days?
Do you feel like
He's in jail?
Do you feel like they should go the classic Hollywood franchise revival route where they pass the torch from John McClane to some youngin where like he's the new badass of the hypothetical franchise?
I don't know about that. I think maybe they should just put it to rest. I don't even know what you do. I mean, was Hans Gruber's like son gonna come out of nowhere and be like, "You killed my daddy and my uncle, so
maybe
fuck you."
Maybe John McClane is like Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon, where it's like, I'm too old for this shit.
I don't want him to just be like a grovelly like old man who's like, my hip hurts. I gotta get new shoes.
But that was part of the character. I know it worked for Lethal Weapon, but
maybe I'm just thinking too much like Indiana.
Oh, sorry, Lyle. You were asking what happened to John McTiernan. He's actually in jail.
He's in
what?
What?
For what?
What happened?
He got arrested for. I was trying to see exactly what it was, the charges. You guys might have to look it up yourself. It was something involving some insurance fraud or something like that, but he's in jail.
God damn.
One of those like more blue collar things.
Jesus
Or white
Christ.
collar crime.
Oh yeah, when he gets released, he needs to make Old Habits Die Hard with Bruce Willis.
Once he gets out.
I'm sure that's the first thing he's gonna do, Cody. He's just gonna be like, fuck it. I'm making a Die Hard movie.
Now that I'm out of jail.
If it ended up great, then I'd say get the John McTiernan trilogy of Die Hard. Get the first one, the third one, and the sixth one, and skip the others, and just be like, yeah, solid. But
For now, I only go first one, third one, and maybe fourth one.
That's the thing. Yeah, I think the first one is by far the best, the absolute must watch. The other ones are okay, sure, varying degrees of success, but none I would say absolute failures, except for the fifth one, which I just think is like ungodly lazy.
It's not even John McClane. Doesn't even feel like him.
No, it feels like a dollar bin like Bruce Willis movie that you see from like another country or something. Like just like he showed up for a day and then like went home and like drank some Jack or something. But anyways, yeah, basically Die Hard has run its course. I don't need to see another one. Just should have wrapped up earlier than now.
Okay.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucking franchise.
Nice. Alright, so get ready to get drained with the action genre all over again because
oh fuck me.
Oh my god. I know that you and our audience are probably gonna feel the cringe when I open my mouth. Transformers. Or more accurately, Bayformers. Because when it occurred to Hollywood to translate a classic series of 80s cartoons and toys into a live action movie, people had no idea what to expect, but I'll tell you what actually happened. Transformers actually had a Transformers the movie in the 80s where it was 2D animated. And then it kind of became its own entity for another 2 decades. And in 2006, I remember going to my local movie theater up in Richmond Hill where I was living at the time. And I saw a poster with an eye that looked exactly like an eye you'd see on a Transformer, and it said Transformers coming summer of 2007. I'm like, how in the ever-loving fuck are they going to make a live-action Transformers movie? It's going to look like the cheesiest shit ever. And because I knew what Transformers looked like in the cartoons, and I thought, how can you translate this to live action? Then I saw the trailer for the first movie directed by Michael Bay, and it looked really good. But I wasn't enticed to see it yet because two of my closest buddies went to see it that summer, and they came out of it telling me, Evan, this is the craziest, most epic movie of all time. You have to see it. And we're like 14, 15 years old back then. So
perfect demographic for these movies.
Oh, totally. And so I go to see it, and I remember I think I saw it with my mom at the time, and by today, that's the last movie I would ever watch with her. Like, yes. Oh, wow. So my mom and I go see Transformers, and it is just an adrenaline-packed action flick. Like, I have never felt my heart rate was like accelerated by the experience of watching that movie. And I'll tell you what, it was pretty good. Like, the effects were monumentally like amazing. Like, yeah. when I see a Optimus Prime transform from a Mack truck, it feels like a real Mack truck turned into a robot. Like, the transition from real vehicle to CGI creation looks incredible even by today's standards. So this, needless to say, this movie got a lot of recognition from the filmmakers community and the film goers community. It made a fuck ton of money. So, but it was a fun ride. I bought the DVD. One of the most sacred memories I have with my dad was when we were in a Walmart at the time this movie came out and on DVD. And specifically I remember the scene where the police car barricade goes after Sam, the kid who's the main character in the movie.
Shia LaBeouf.
I'm not talking about that. Yeah, this movie was the breakout role, hands down, for Shia LaBeouf. This propelled him from C-list teen actor to Hollywood superstar. He got a bit of spotlight with Holes, but that was only watched by high school kids who read the book and watched the movie in class, realistically.
Yeah, he was mainly known for the Disney Channel show Even Stevens.
Yeah, that's also
Steven, yeah. And
it was actually Steven Spielberg who saw him on Even Stevens and who is executive producing Transformers and got him the part on Transformers.
And he would later on be Indy's son.
But he burned. Off topic. He actually burned a bridge with Spielberg after Indiana Jones 4 came out. He bashed Spielberg indirectly, and then that kind of burned a big bridge for him. It was very hard for him to get work after Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for a number of years. The Transformers movies were his bread and butter. The first Transformers movie. It's action-packed. The effects look good even to this day, and I even have fun revisiting it every couple of years.
I know, you're like curled up in a ball right now, just recounting it.
Yeah, but so
I will agree with you.
You're transforming yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's turning into a vehicle, guys.
So
roll out.
But anyways, I would also be remiss when I talk about how this movie propelled Shia LaBeouf from C-list teen actor, C-list young actor to Hollywood superstar. This movie propelled Megan Fox from nobody to international sex symbol for at least 3 years. Maybe longer, and this also gave her a movie career for a little bit, and then she trashed it, also ironically having to do with this franchise. What is it with young people, saying nasty things that Steven Spielberg doesn't like? Because we'll get into that.
Oh yeah, she compared Michael Bay to like a Nazi or something like that.
She called after Michael Bay invited her over to his house to basically strip down and wash his car. She compared him to Hitler, and the analogy was really dumb. She said Michael Bay likes to blow things up, and Hitler likes to blow things up. not the best analogy, but it was enough to irk Steven Spielberg to the point where he like told Michael Bay, fire this bitch. And that's why that Victoria's Secret model whose acting career died a second later came in the third one.
Yeah.
But
Oh no, Rosie Huntington Whiteley, who's in the third Transformers,
yes,
later on ended up being in Mad Max Fury Road.
oh right, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay,
so her acting career came and went, and then did come back. So anyway, so the first
is there really a way to like break down the plot of these movies?
it's actually very simple.
Yeah, we don't have to
Decepticons fuck up things for humans. Autobots help humans. The end.
No,
That is literally the plot.
It's every single one.
It is literally all of these movies. And I'm gonna just okay. So as an emotional experience, the first movie, I have fun with it. It has some novelty to it. It's enjoyably stupid.
And it's a MacGuffin story. It's simple to get.
No, the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
There's a MacGuffin in every one of these movies. In the first one, it's a cosmic cube called the Allspark. Which, by the way, guys, did you watch the Transformers cartoons when you were kids?
No.
Okay, then.
I don't really give half a fuck about the Transformers.
Okay, so
franchise.
then you don't give a care what kind of characters from that series they bring into these movies.
Care about that. To be honest, I can't even fucking tell any of them apart. Like if I see
Unless it's Optimus or Bumblebee.
Optimus, Bumblebee, maybe another character that's a little bit more defined. But if it's like some black Decepticon, like all covered in sheet metal and gray, I can't tell them apart from the others.
Yeah.
And it gets even worse when they're actually battling, and you have no idea who's fighting who sometimes.
Yeah, it's really visually unclear.
In the first movie, though, I can actually tell the visual. Maybe because
it's a little better in the first. Well, that's because they established all of the Autobots.
Yeah, no, and
they're all pretty distinct.
In the first movie, the first Transformers you see are Decepticons, and they're all gray military vehicles.
Yeah.
And then when they fight the Autobots, you can tell who's who because the Autobots are all colorful. Yeah. That's really good content, really good, and that's really clever filmmaking.
So here's my main issue with these movies is that, not only is the financial success of these movies the most frustrating aspect, the fact that, like, they make so much money and yet they're so hated, it's like, okay, then why are everyone continuously going back to see them? But it's the fact that especially the first movie, well, I don't even know if it's the first movie to blame for this, but, like, the sequels, as this franchise kind of came into its own with the sequels, it created this formula that panders to the lowest common denominator when it comes to action, when it comes to its overblown action and its bad comedy. But in result, it created a really bad trend for big, dumb blockbuster films that lasted a long time.
It really did. And
I would agree with that.
And it honestly, no, it lasted for about 4 or 5 years. The first Transformers movie came out in 2007, and it actually, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that it inspired Hasbro to give the intellectual property rights to Paramount to make G.I. Joe into movies, and they made.
Did you know that Paramount and Hasbro had an initial thought and an idea to actually have a crossover between the Transformers and the G.I. Joes?
That actually could have been kind of interesting.
I don't know.
Because
what are the Joes gonna do against giant robots?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are they gonna shoot them with guns?
And then
they're gonna go in those Iron Man suits and run around and shoot missiles at them?
Well,
maybe I've got my toy companies mixed up, but does Hasbro own the rights to Barbie? Or is that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to look this up. So anyway, so going back to the first, the first Transformers movie, I think it's enjoyably stupid. Revenge of the
Barbie is owned by Mattel.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Mattel. Right.
The first Transformers movie is enjoyably stupid. Revenge of the Fallen is intelligence insulting stupid, and and the main reason for this is, remember Cody how you mentioned the writer's strike in the last episode?
Yeah.
This movie got the worst brunt of the writer's strike, I think, because
by far.
Michael Bay with the first Transformers, with all the other Transformers movies, Michael Bay had the advantage of relying on two screenwriters to write him whatever he wanted. But this time, those two writers were on strike, and he had to write most of Transformers 2 himself. That's why it goes from an actually passable story in the first act to complete numbnut. This is horseshit story in the last 2/3 because
And action that goes on and on and
oh
on.
yeah, and it goes
It is loud.
and it's completely uncreative. Like the final showdown of Transformers 2 is a battle in the Egyptian desert, but they actually
pyramids themselves.
but they actually used recycled footage from a desert battle in the first movie, so it was insane. And you can, if you watch the movie enough times, you can kind of tell what footage is recycled from the first movie. But in terms of new characters, it introduces new Autobots, but they barely get any development. It introduces the Fallen, who I have no clue what his role was in the show because I didn't watch it. I just remember this one scene where Megatron gets resurrected. That's another thing. Megatron will never ever die. He will be resurrected in every single one of these movies. It's so annoying. And in the first movie, Optimus goes to a great length to kill this fucker, and Optimus can't even kill him. Sam Witwicky has to shove the cube into Megatron's chest by accident in order to kill him. Yeah. So but then Megatron gets resurrected again in the second movie, and he flies to a Transformers hideout in space, and he talks to the Fallen, and I swear the conversation is lifted right out of The Empire Strikes Back when Vader talks to the Emperor. Like, what is thy bidding, my master? My apprentice, the cube was merely a force that causes our race to transform. And the cube has been absorbed by the brain of a human child. My apprentice, you will capture this child. And it's like, and I remember leaning over to my friend Brian, who I saw the movie with in the theater, like, this is right out of Star Wars. But the dumbest scene for me in that whole movie is when Shia LaBeouf died. I don't care what his character's name is anymore.
Sam Witwicky.
Sam Witwicky dies, and he goes to, I am not kidding, Transformer Heaven.
Oh, fuck.
That was when my friends and I lost our shit. We were just we were the only punk kids in the theater laughing our asses off at how stupid it was.
Oh my god, that's right. I forgot that happened. That is so stupid.
And then it turns into a comedy from there on out because the end of the movie boils down to there is a giant machine within the Great Pyramid in Egypt that if it's turned on, it will blow up the sun and harvest energy from the sun to fuel Transformers or some shit. And so the Decepticons want to turn it on to destroy Earth or whatever. And so the Fallen is literally 2 seconds away from turning on this evil world-destroying machine. Optimus Prime, who I also forgot to mention, Optimus Prime dies, Megatron stabs him in the back, and then Optimus gets resurrected back to life, and then an old-ass Transformer named Jetfire, who is an SR-71 bird, sacrifices himself, and Optimus Prime takes his parts and turns into an airplane truck and flies after the Fallen and Megatron and Starscream. He fights 3 Transformers at once, and the fight is over in 2 seconds. It's like Superman and Steppenwolf in Justice League. It's basically a curb stomp fight. It's over.
Evan, the twins.
Why did you have to bring them up, Cody? Michael Bay, stop being racist.
It's like
fucking Christ.
They talk with these Ebonics, and it's just so bad. It's in such poor taste.
The most racist line in that movie is, "Hey, can you read those markings?" "Nah, we don't do much reading." Like what?
Oh,
The fuck?
is that after the scene when a transformer humped Megan Fox's leg?
No, that was before.
But okay, but that is a very important scene. We have to remember that,
Don't
people.
forget the scene where those two dogs humped each other, and Sam
Uh,
made a pot brownie,
Oh god.
and
There's so
you
much
saw John Turturro's ass in a thong.
in a Superman G string nonetheless.
and then he sees like the Transformers balls dangling from the
I am
pyramid.
directly below the enemy scrotum.
Oh, fuck,
Audience,
is
you
that
can't
bad.
see my face, but I am losing my mind talking about this movie. Oh my god.
Okay.
Can I say one
We're only
positive
we're
thing?
not we're not even.
Can I say one positive thing
Yeah, go ahead.
about Revenge of the Fallen, Dark Side of the Moon, or whatever the fuck it's called, the third
Okay.
one, Dark of the Moon, right?
Yeah, that one.
And Age of Extinction is that all three of those have an interesting prologue, like an opening scene.
Yeah.
Like there's a promising kind of like, ooh, this sounds intriguing, and then after the title appears, the whole movie just fucking goes downhill.
I'm gonna sum that up perfectly with Transformers 3. I actually like Transformers 3 slightly better than than Revenge of the
That's
Fallen.
what I heard.
But that's not saying a lot, though.
So what happens is the first Transformers movie begins with the cube. The second one begins with primitive humans fighting primitive Transformers. I have no clue how that battle is even or even fair remotely. So the third movie begins with an actually interesting concept. Transformers landed on the moon, and the entire space race between the United States and Russia was a cover up to fly to the moon to discover a Transformers ship that was abandoned. And that's really interesting. And they actually recreated real historical footage, like with the moon landing and with Kennedy's speeches and all this. And they also introduced a new interesting concept: humans working with Decepticons. And that was actually kind of interesting to me. And then Frances McDormand is there, so she's kind of a one-dimensional cardboard cutout villain. But well, she's not really a villain; she's an antagonist. But she is she is in this movie what John Turturro was in the first movie, like an egotistical dick who was a government agent who had to do his job.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, no, but yeah, Frances McDormand, like top of her acting chops, ladies and gentlemen. So and then by the way, Leonard Nimoy is the villain on top of Megatron. And I forgot to mention that Megatron is voiced by Agent Smith himself.
Yeah, Leonard Nimoy plays the evil villain, and do you know what line he says in that movie?
Yep, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And my dad, tapped me on the shoulder.
And I wanted to flip off the film.
Yeah, that was so. And the line is used completely, like it's in context, but it is so obviously a Star Trek reference that it's not even like clever. And speaking of Star Trek reference, the most clever Star Trek reference in the whole movie is when the little robots are in Sam's basement or his apartment, and they're watching The Wrath of Khan, and he says, "Oh, this is the one where Spock goes nuts." And the movie is literally about Transformer played by Leonard Nimoy going nuts because he's not who sides with this.
It's clearly Paramount just dropping big notes onto their puppet named Michael Bay and saying, do these notes, and Michael Bay going, "Yes, studio, I will do your notes as you ask for. I am going to make explosions and bad jokes." I'm convinced Michael Bay is not a person. He's a fucking robot.
I was wondering why he loves making movies about robots.
Yeah, it's perfect for him.
All right, I now have to bring your attention to Transformers 4. I'd like to do the honors.
Go ahead.
Transformers 4: Age of Extinction might actually be like one of my most hated movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Cody, I don't know if I was talking to you during the time, but I remember I was watching it on my computer, and I was like, I sent you a recording of me watching the movie, and as soon as the Dinobots showed up, I was just so angry and out of it. Do you remember any of that?
Like these Transformers movies? Or?
No, like I was watching Age of Extinction. I think I was texting you while I was watching it or something.
Oh no, I didn't actually. Sorry.
Maybe it was another friend. I don't know, but I was definitely like
Oh, okay.
busted by.
No, well, here's the thing. Like, I was kind of done. I honestly, I grew to hate the Transformers movies, like the first three. Like as time went by, I didn't hate them initially when they came out. I was just like, whatever. They are what they are. It was more like when I started to get really more into filmmaking, like noticing what they really are, and they're just essentially 2.5 hour car commercials with fireworks.
No, they are okay.
That's really all they are.
The Cody. Let me give you a more in depth commercial analogy. The Transformers show, the cartoon, was half-hour toy commercials. The Bayformer movies are 2.5 hour car commercials for adults.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
But no. But at that point, I saw the trailer for Transformers 4, and there's no Shia LaBeouf. It almost felt like it was rebooting the movies in a way because it follows Mark Wahlberg as this mechanic, and he like discovers a transformer. And I mean, back then I must have sounded like the biggest dipshit ever, but there was something kind of genuinely exciting about in the trailer when he like gets it working and he goes, "I think we found a transformer." Like I generally kind of got excited about the movie, and it kind of looked visceral and intense, and then they introduced those Dinobots. I was like, you know what? All right, maybe it's Michael Bay's way of saying, I'm just going to redo it again and do something new. When I saw this movie at the Scotiabank IMAX theater, it might have been one of the most excruciating experiences of my life because this was the loudest film I have ever seen in my life, and I wanted to leave.
Did you? Oh, your movie going experience was identical to mine. Here's what happened. I couldn't find any friends to go see it with, so in a last minute decision, I just went to the theater and paid to see it by myself. This is the first time in a Transformers movie where I was bored. Like. Nothing interesting. The thing about this movie that came close to being interesting was Optimus Prime really starts to hate humans by this point, where he actually says, when I find out who is responsible for this mess, they are going to die." And I'm like, wow, whoa, are you not fucking around anymore, Optimus? And then the scene where Optimus literally blows Kelsey Grammer away and turns him into a crater, I'm like, oh my god, that's actually kind of interesting. Other than that, this movie can go die in a hole.
And I was completely wrong too. Not only was it just such a loud, excruciating experience, is that it didn't do anything new.
At all.
Not really, no.
In fact,
it does the same old shit.
And by the way, I thought Mark Wahlberg's character was even creepier than Shia LaBeouf's character, because he's got this daughter who he doesn't want to date, and then her daughter has this boyfriend, and they're protected by Romeo-Juliet laws. That joke was so annoying, but it turns out Romeo and Juliet laws are a real fucking thing in the United States. Ugh.
Yeah, he basically brings out a note saying, "Hey, look, I can legally have sex with your underage daughter."
Like, Jesus Christ, what kind of movie is this? And by the way, TJ Miller dies one of the most pointless deaths I've ever seen. TJ Miller is an annoying asshole who thankfully gets killed off really easily, but his death is so meaningless.
Do you guys know about TJ Miller's experience of making this movie?
What was it like?
I don't know about his experience, but I do know that his career is pretty much dead after he caused a disturbance on a train where he pretended that a bomb threat was happening, and he fucked with the authorities, and now his career's as good as dead.
That's too bad because he's kind of funny. But no, he described the experience of making this movie, or especially working with Michael Bay, as like a bipolar experience.
Oh yeah,
because apparently one day Michael Bay just fucking snaps at him saying, "You're not being funny. Look around you. This whole crew is not laughing at you. You need to be funnier."
Wow.
Like fucking Michael Bay, like the Bayham, as they call it.
I have a
Can we
question, guys.
Oh fuck! I was about to say, can we be done with this? But there's still a fucking movie left.
Now,
on the web.
I hate both of you for making me watch this movie. I had to watch this for homework to prepare for this episode. Transformers: The Last Night. I didn't see this in the theater because after I wasted money seeing the fourth movie on the big screen, I said I'm done with this franchise. I'm never going back to
Yeah, I did not see it either. I was done.
So I rented Transformers: The Last Night off of YouTube Movies, and like they at least the first. Do you want to know what the first 5 minutes of this movie are like? It's set in the Dark Ages. For the first 5 minutes, you will not even feel like you are watching a Transformers movie. It's like Ninja Turtles 3. It cuts to random samurais and then it cuts to the turtles out of nowhere. It does the same thing. It cuts to random knights in England in the Dark Ages to Transformers out of nowhere. And by the way, the medieval characters, there's ones it almost feels like you're watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail at one point. It's so the humor is so left field and so.
I've never seen this movie, but is it true that at the ending of the film, Mark Wahlberg picks up like a giant sword?
Yes! Oh my god! I died. That's the one time where the whole movie I checked in and out mentally. I'm like, I don't give a shit about any of this. I don't give a shit that Anthony Hopkins is here. He is unintentionally probably the best part of this movie, but he didn't save it at all. Nothing about this movie is interesting to me. I just don't care. And by the way, Optimus Prime is barely in it. Like he flies out into space to look for some way to rebuild Cybertron. He comes across this Transformer deity who tells him that the planet Earth is Unicron, and you have to kill Unicron. So Optimus Prime becomes possessed, and in the last half hour of the movie, for about 2 minutes, he is a bad guy, and then Bumblebee beats him up, and then his evil spell wears off or whatever, and then I am not kidding. Enemy Transformers come to attack the good guys, and then Mark Wahlberg raises his hand, and a fucking sword materializes. A brace was slapped on his arm earlier in the movie, and he raises his hand, and a giant sword materializes in his hand, and it clashes with the sword of a larger Transformer and holds it in place. And I'm like, the fuck? You should be dead in like 5 different spaces. You should be cut in 2. You're still alive. This movie is making me insane. I can't talk about it anymore.
You honestly could have been making all this up and I still wouldn't believe you, but I can't believe it.
You have to see this shit to believe it, Cody. Oh my god. I'm actually kind of glad that I watched it because this episode I'm feeling good about. Like, this is comedy gold.
It's funny watching you scream in misery at him. I have a question, guys.
What's up? No, Cody. What's up, Lyle?
I wanted to ask. Do you think there's any justifiable reason why any of these movies need to be 2.5 hours long a piece?
That's another thing. They're overly long, and each one is progressively longer than the next. I don't get it. The first movie is like is 2 hours. Second movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes. Third movie is like 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Even 2 hours is kind of.
But then the fourth movie is 2 hours and 45 minutes long, and the fifth movie is 2.5 hours long. They do not need to be this long. They really.
They get so. It's like watching. It's like if you put a bunch of screws and like jagged metal in a blender and put that on for like 3 hours, it'd be the same effect.
Yeah.
It's just this mind-numbing experience of watching this overly long piece of dribble.
And.
But guys,
he was very tragically right. The first Transformers movie set the tone for dumb, mindless action films for about 5 years. It took the Avengers and in 2012 to steer movies out of this, because the Avengers actually has some thought put into its action scenes, and that and the MCU and the rest of the MCU kind of made action movies tolerable again.
Yeah, it was a course correction for sure.
So kudos to the MCU for saving the action genre. Seriously.
But guys, we have one little epilogue to say at the end of this huge like Transformers rant.
Yeah.
We're forgetting about one entry that's worth mentioning.
Which
Bumblebee?
I haven't seen
Bumblebee.
Have you seen Bumblebee? I didn't have time to watch Bumblebee before we recorded, but
I saw Bumblebee as 2 weeks before everybody. I was a friend of mine. We went to go see it as an early screener kind of thing. They were just viewing it actually the same day we saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Bumblebee the same day.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
How was Bumblebee?
2 or 3 weeks before everybody. Actually, we got the early scoop on it.
Cool.
And my thoughts about the movie were it can only be justified by bringing up the reference from the Treehouse of Horror, Time and Punishment. Homer just saying, close enough.
Oh, okay. So after 5 movies of nonstop garbage, they tried something new and it actually is tolerable?
The movie is basically
a prequel.
Well, no. Well, it kind of is, but it works alone as a standalone kind of adventure movie. But it's the E.T., the Iron Giant kind of story. I gotta keep my special friend away from the government kind of story. You know,
right?
And Haley Steinfeld's really good in it, and
yeah, she looks really good.
I think that this movie has been so claimed, or this franchise has been so claimed by Michael Bay that it's impossible to look past your perception on these Transformers movies as being big, dumb, stupid, sexist, racist, just too much of everything, kind of fatigue from it. That seeing Brian McKnight, this filmmaker that did a really good film called Hugo and the Two Strings.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah. So he comes on and he makes a very competent, nice little blockbuster or whatever. It's a sweet little story. It is what it is. I just think that if we went from the first Transformers to Bumblebee, I don't think any of us would have just went on the huge rant that we just went through.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you what, by the way, this was the only Transformers movie in the 6 movies we talked about to not come out during the summer. All the other ones came out in the summer. This one came out at Christmas.
Yeah. So there's something kind of simple, small. It's small in scale, small in story, kind of nice about it. But it's at least right now they're at a good note of these Transformers movies, and I don't know what's the future of this franchise yet. But
if they made more Bumblebees and less 2.5 hour jizz fests of machines punching each other,
yeah.
I would rather, I might actually maybe give it a shot. But as it stands, I'm tired of it.
These movies do things that I'm surprised the Twitter mob doesn't go after.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of this would fly nowadays.
But here's
they're so bad.
Well, wait a minute, didn't the 5th one kind of have that little girl who was kind of a strong rebellious type in the trailer?
And also there's a scene where Mark Wahlberg meets this tribal policeman and it's hey chief, it's you're not chief, but it's well, I call you chief, it's a term of endearment. Yeah, well, it's also kind of racist. So Michael Bay, I guess the executive producers must have sat him down and said, okay, buddy, you have to get with the times. You can't keep doing these racist, sexist character tropes. But there is a scene that in the 5th one that is completely sexist towards Mark Wahlberg, because you know how his wife is dead, right? And there's a scene where this really hot British girl is this hot girl and Anthony Hopkins are literally sex shaming him by teasing him over the fact that he hasn't done it in a while. And it's this is not cool. I'm a guy. I'm not, I hate this macho man bullshit that plagues these movies. That's one of the other things I don't like about them. They're sexist to both genders, not just women. They're sexist to men too, because they overemphasize the alpha male garbage and the whole, quirky geek shit. But I'm gonna say is this: I don't believe I said where I thought this franchise should have stopped. They should have stopped after one movie. Seriously, there does not need to be five of them.
They couldn't because it was so big and so lucrative.
Yeah,
but I know, like the first is the only one that's actually worth a shit.
They should have stopped after the '80s cartoon movie.
Well, I mean, what if we lived in an alternate timeline where the first Transformers movie actually bombed and then they just ditched that IP?
Oh, I wish.
But nope.
Oh.
What's scary? Like Cody said, what's scary? They keep making money. There's probably going to even be a sixth one, and people will still see it.
No, I think the last two, especially the last night, didn't do too well. That they're kind of rethinking. Okay, it's starting to kind of dip under a margin.
But the first four were mega hits, and the last night was a modest hit.
I think people are just people go through trends. I think people got caught up with Star Wars and the MCU, and
And Michael Bay is also fucking done with this shit too, because Michael Bay's exhausted. He doesn't like doing these movies anymore. He said that the appeal to him wore off after the third movie. And you can even tell. Yeah. Did you know that there's actually some shots where some military screens were supposed to have visual effects on them, but the green VFX markers are still in the shot?
God.
No, it made it into theaters. I remember seeing this in the theater. I'm like, did I just see an unfinished VFX shot in a Hollywood blockbuster movie? Yeah. That's horrible.
I got a note to end on with the Transformers stuff.
Yeah, please. Can we get to... what Cody wants to talk about is actually a franchise that I love, so let's go.
I'll just say this, to quote a great man. Dude, the Transformers were a total slight against God. And as much as God sent his only begotten son to die on the cross to redeem mankind, and all we did to pay him back was make terrible fucking cartoons like the Transformers.
Thank you. Thank you, Randall Graves. Cody, please take me back to my childhood roots.
Okay, but before I do, Lyle, this is a really random question.
Okay.
But, do you remember Boogie Nights?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember when Mark Wahlberg and his character, Dirk Diggler, when he hit his low point in his career and he was having a really bad drug problems and he did that failed music career?
Okay, yeah.
Do you remember the song that he was recording in the booth?
No, it's been a long time since I've seen Boogie Nights.
It's a song that went by, "You got the touch, you got the power."
That was the theme song of the 80s Transformers movie.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that a weird coincidence?
I guess so, yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted a fun fact. Like, it's a coincidence Mark Wahlberg being in the movies later, singing the song. Yeah.
All right, Cody.
Yeah.
Introduce.
All right. Let me take it home to a franchise 65 million years in the making.
Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Do 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 do. Do 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 Okay. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We got it. John Williams is the man.
Yeah.
So, we take us now into the Jurassic Park franchise.
Okay.
So, Jurassic Park was initially a book by Michael Crichton.
Yep.
And Steven Spielberg read this and completely fell in love with it. And it was the same year that he did Schindler's List, which is kind of incredible.
Yep, and Spielberg would actually have a couple of years where he does multiple movies in 1 year.
Well, not only that, it's the fact that you look at Schindler's List and Jurassic Park and you're like, how is this the same man? You know?
Yeah.
And even when he even to this day, he says, I have no idea how I pulled that off.
Yeah.
He's in complete disbelief about it, too.
Yeah.
So basically, Jurassic Park is most of our generation's childhood,
Yeah.
essentially. It's a film that really impacted all of us in our generation in the 90s. So the story of it, just long story short, is that this man by the name of John Hammond is in charge of this company named InGen that's creating genetically modified dinosaurs. So they found a way to bring back dinosaurs by finding the DNA of each and every dinosaur that's in a mosquito that's preserved in tree sap that
They
they
got really
found in the ground.
apparently they got super lucky with all the dino DNA that was in random mosquitoes caught in amber because apparently there were enough mosquitoes to clone most of the dinosaurs we knew from paleontology books back into existence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and as John Hammond is getting this park into development, he needs some endorsements from some paleontologists. So a few of them by the name of Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, Ellie Sadler, played by Laura Dern, and Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum.
You did it! You crazy son of a bitch, you did it!
So basically, this movie, we're watching it from like their perspective, where they're brought in, not really knowing what to expect, and then they are in complete disbelief, like in shock and awe, when they see an actual dinosaur living and breathing today, right?
Yeah.
And
Shot with a
yeah,
brachiosaurus. It's incredible.
the whole intention of Jurassic Park and John Hammond's vision is just to capture the imaginations of all the kids because he's looking at it from a point of view as an attractionist because he comes
Yeah.
from that background. So here's where, and this is a scene that I have to bring up because it's the most important scene in this entire franchise, and it basically holds together as being the defense mechanism on why every sequel does not work fundamentally. Despite some good qualities and fun action scenes in the sequels, the lunch scene in Jurassic Park, as we all know,
Yeah.
is basically after the awe sinks into all these paleontologists, they sit down and be very critical and a great an objective point of what John Hammond's doing here is that, for instance, like Ian Malcolm is saying that like you have so much power here, but you have no control of discipline. Like, what if it gets so out of control? Like, you don't know how to brand it. You like, there's just so much here, right?
Yeah.
And Ellie Sadler's kind of looking at it more of as a botanist kind of point of view, where you don't know about the environment that these creatures are in, and there's plants here that are dangerous. And Alan Grant is just looking at it more broadly, like you have dinosaurs and humans now mixed together. Like he's just sort of scared about the uncertainty of what can happen, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, Lord and behold, shit hits the fan. So
Oh.
yeah, in a very realistic way, where there's this one man by the name of Dennis Nedry, played by Wayne Knight.
Wayne Knight.
Newman.
It should be Dennis.
Newman. Will always be Newman.
What I like about what his character represents in this movie is that realistically, if this actually did happen, there would of course be competition and cutthroats within industry, like companies trying to like steal from one another, right?
Oh yeah.
So it comes off a bit believable, and even despite him sort of being the cause of everything kind of going wrong with him shutting off the power in the park, a hurricane hits the same night that it happens. Like there's this whole theme about in this movie. What's so beautiful about it is that it's just man versus nature. That's all it is.
Chaos theory.
Yeah.
That's chaos theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many quotes that we can go through. Now, just as a personal note, this is actually the movie that made me want to make movies.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
This is a very important film to me because it made me realize that holy shit, you can do anything with movies.
Yeah.
It was like a very profound thing. Like I had loved movies, but then after I saw this movie as a kid, I went, okay, maybe I want to now make one.
Yeah.
It was just like that simple notion that kind of sparked.
Well, your
Now,
what Jurassic Park
what?
was to you about making movies is what Star Wars was to me about making movies.
I think in terms of direction and just making things possible, Jurassic Park, but definitely story wise, Star Wars definitely has that influence in me as well. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
but as shit hits the fan, we as audience members, and even still to this day, we are so amazed by the amount of animatronics and visual effects that hold up so well in this movie, like i.e. the fucking T-Rex,
Oh,
which
yes.
it looks fucking gorgeous to this day.
Yep.
So that so as shit hits the fan in that beautiful first, T-Rex attack scene, it's basically just the survivors trying to get off the island.
Yeah.
It's basically that. And just the tragedy of John Hammond realizing that his dream has been completely broken. And there's even subtle symbolism in the movie where the whole thing is very black and white, and John Hammond is wearing all white, and Ian Malcolm is wearing all black.
Yeah.
So there's very subtle symbolism in it. And after they get off the park, it's like, okay, at that point you think, okay, what do you do afterwards? So therefore, we now lead into the sequel, which it came out 4 years later in 1997, called The Lost World: Jurassic Park.
Now, Cody, it's worth mentioning that Michael Crichton also wrote a novel,
Yes.
Lost World 2, a sequel to Jurassic Park, and the reason he wrote that is because Steven Spielberg actually kind of gave him the incentive to do it.
He pressured him.
He pressured him, and he also said, if you can make a novel as good as your first, I'll make it into a movie again. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Yeah, no, not only did Michael Crichton felt pressured to write a sequel to Jurassic Park, even Spielberg himself has now admitted that he felt like The Lost World: Jurassic Park is a bit tired.
Oh, yeah?
It's a bit routine. Yeah, he says like he found himself even in the moment during filming this movie, like, what am I doing? It's all just a monster movie.
Wow.
Well, so briefly just say the plot of this one because it's pretty thin. It's not too much happens in it. It's basically just following the aftermath of the tragic events in Jurassic Park. So it turns out that there's actually not only one island filled with dinosaurs, which is what the park would have been on, called Isla Nublar. There's another island called Isla Sorna, which was more of a testing ground for the dinosaurs as they were getting made, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when a little first attack scene happened at the beginning of the movie, John Hammond is trying to like control this island from anybody coming to it. So I guess he failed because a fucking family goes there and one of their girls was almost eaten by those copies.
Yeah.
So he's trying to keep it under control, but he's also like sending people there to get recon on how these animals are like, how the dinosaurs are behaving, which I kind of don't understand that logic.
He basically wants to create like a National Geographic like humanitarian portfolio where it's like, hey, look how peaceful these creatures can live if we just stay the fuck away from them. Like, but I think that logic both works and does not work at the same time because if there are dinosaurs living naturally and comfortably on an island, you better believe some daredevils are going there to do some crazy shit, and that's exactly what happens in the third movie. But I'll let you get to that.
One's coming out.
Yeah. So reprising his role, the only out of the three paleontologists that are from the first movie, the only one that comes back is Ian Malcolm. And the one thing I do like about his character is that he's kind of changed and he's a bit traumatized and he's a lot more serious in this movie. He knows, I mean, from his near-death experience from the first movie, almost getting his fucking legs cut off, essentially, he's just completely against John Hammond sending anybody to this island until he finds out that his girlfriend name's Sarah.
How many Sarahs do you think are on this island?
Sarah Harding. How many Sarahs do you think are on this island? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sarah
his
Thomas.
girlfriend Sarah, played by Julianne Moore, is on the island, also part of this recon team. So he has to go there just to get her off, right?
Yeah.
And then he finds out that one out of three of his kids, I guess he's obviously a step.
Gets around.
He's obviously
Yeah.
He's obviously a stepfather. It's very clear. But
And it's like, oh, 3, I love kids. I'm always on the hunt for the new future ex Mrs. Malcolm.
yeah. Well, I mean, okay, well, from this, what's the daughter's name again?
Kelly.
Kelly, yeah. So from
The
Kelly,
gymnast. Oh, you gotta the gymnast. The
yeah,
gymnast.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah. So honestly, that's kind of it for most of the movie. It's just it feels like a lot of set pieces for the dinosaurs to come in and run amok. Because I think that's honestly, when I look back, I think that many people were paying more attention to the T-Rex attack scene and also the kitchen scene with the raptors in the original, because
Yeah.
it seems to be like that's the only thing that people loved from the first one, because that's primarily what the whole world of Lost World is about.
Dinosaur attack after dinosaur attack, yeah.
Which is a thing that works with it and also against it, because there's also this unpredictability and disastrous proportions that could also happen if dinosaurs were on the island or were just in real life. So, yeah, then there's this whole thing about InGen trying to take dinosaurs off the island to try to build a park on the mainland. And when they did that with the T-Rex, it ends up getting loose, and it's just sort of like a Godzilla climax of the T-Rex just running amok in San Francisco.
San Diego. And by the way, do you know about
San Diego, right? Yeah.
Do you know about the Japanese guys running down the street? And
yes.
Many film enthusiasts have actually confirmed that you can if you watch the movie the shot frame for frame when it focuses on the Japanese dudes, they are mouthing the words "I left Japan to get away from this."
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's a cute little reference.
And that was 2 years before that was a year before Roland Emmerich did that shitty Godzilla.
It's not called Godzilla, Evan. It's called.
You mean the mucky,
Zilla.
disgusting Jurassic Park knockoff? No,
Yeah, that
Zilla.
one.
Fucking yeah.
Zilla.
It is not godly enough to be worthy.
Yeah.
Idol.
Oh, and funny, just a moment after that attack scene happened, after that little moment happened with all the Japanese fellas, there was that one guy that was trying to get away from the dinosaur, and he like tries to get inside of a building, but then the T-Rex like grabs him and like starts chewing him. Do you know who that was?
That's the
screenwriter.
David Coep, the screenwriter.
Yeah. And he's credited as unlucky bastard.
Yeah, I laughed at. We watched it this summer, and my buddies and I watched it this summer on Netflix Party, and we actually had a lot of fun with it. Like imagining, like, would you go camping on an island with dinosaurs? And they're like, fuck no.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And then when they realize, yeah, fuck, we really just need to leave these fucking dinosaurs alone because life will find a way, that whole theme. I'm just like, yeah, there's really not much you can do with these movies. So it's either we just stick with just the first one and maybe look at The Lost World as just a follow-up. It has its moments. There's a really great scene in the movie with the trailer going over the cliff. And
Yes,
yeah, that was
that's a great scene.
And Julianne Moore's holding onto her life on that glass as it's slowly cracking. Like that's really effective stuff. That's really good stuff.
And then the Eddie character who's trying to save them gets ripped in two by two T-Rex. I think that's probably the most brutal death in any of these movies. People like to say that the maid's death in Jurassic World, where she gets picked up by pterodactyls.
Oh yeah,
pterodactyls, and then munched by the mosasaur. I think that's the most over the top death in the whole series, but the most brutal death is Eddie getting ripped in two by T-Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the little moment there where all those hunters were in the long grass.
Where the raptors, oh god. Don't
yeah.
the long grass!
Just seeing that overhead shot of all the raptors coming towards them is fucking frightening. Is actually
I kind of like the fact that the hunters and the archivalists eventually kind of have to kind of go together because they can't go alone because there's just too many dangerous things out there.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Like the two factions who are against each other ideologically have to work together.
Yeah, it's like a means to an end just for the sake of survival.
And Pete Postlethwaite,
I liked his character.
He had an interesting character.
I liked how he's reading an encyclopedia while he's chasing like one of the dinosaurs. Like, fire tuck over there. Ah! He throws the encyclopedia away because he doesn't know what he's doing.
And
he reminded me a lot of the Mel Doom character from the original.
Yeah. His goal in the movie is he wants to be the only man alive on planet Earth to hunt and kill a T-Rex.
I liked his character arc by the end, though.
It does,
He kind of becomes a bit more reflective by the end. It's like, well, it's no use.
Yeah. And then his last line in the movie is quite haunting. It's like, the douchey, John Hammond's nephew, Miss Peter Ludlow, says, I remember the people who helped me, Roland. There's a job for you at the park in San Diego if you want it. No, thank you. I feel I've spent too much time in the company of death. And then he just puts on his fedora.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Evan, I'm going to have to disagree on the most gruesome death.
What's that?
When you said Eddie was the most gruesome death?
Yeah.
No. Peter Stormare's character.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
it. Way worse.
Gets pecked alive by those little fucking...
Yeah. Well, not only that, it first starts off as one, and then he just he just kind of fucks with it, and then he falls down a hill, and then he slowly gets picked at by a bunch of them, and then he gets them all off, and he tries to stumble away. You think he's okay, and they just keep coming back to him.
Do you know that
Yeah,
like hyenas.
Do you know
that was a hard scene for me to watch as a kid? That was actually the most intense scene in the movie for me as a kid.
Do you know that it actually took me until this year of my life? I've seen this movie probably more. Sad. I'm sorry, Cody, but I've seen this movie more than I've seen the first Jurassic Park. I do think
that's fine.
Jurassic Park's better, fine. But I like rewatching this movie because I like rewatching the dinosaur action stuff. That's what I liked when I was a kid. But when the compies attack him, it took this year when I watched that scene again. There's a shot where the camera is at the compy's eye level and it's just following him in perpetuity. And I realized that what they're doing is they are steadily following him, and he is slowly running out of breath to the point where he can no longer use his legs to run away from them. And then at the second he gets too exhausted, they swarm him and then he's dead.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying, yeah.
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 So we got
But yeah, so going forward, the first Jurassic Park is like a classic adventure film. It's almost like a very family friendly crowd pleaser to a certain extent, but it just has like an edge to it.
A little edge for sure.
Yeah, it's very edgy. It's very unique. There's a lot of great Spielberg moments in it, and the Lost World's a bit labored, but it's still watchable.
A girl literally kills a velociraptor with an acrobat.
Oh God.
I mean, at least it was set up ahead of time that she has to win her gymnastics class or gymnastics competition, whatever. As stupid as it was, whatever.
That's nothing compared to what's coming up next in terms of stupidity.
Oh, you mean Alan Grant having a dream on a plane and then a raptor says, Alan!
Yeah. Nah, worse. Spinosaur crashing through a 50-foot tall steel barrier, but he can't destroy a little hut that the characters are hiding in.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so that leads us into 2001's Jurassic Park 3. Sorry.
You're about 14 years too early with Jurassic World there.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a 2001 movie.
We got to wait 2 years to see Dominion.
Yeah.
So Jurassic Park 3 is directed by Joe Johnston, who did The Rocketeer, Jumanji, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
The First Avenger.
He would later on do The First Avenger. So
October Sky.
October Sky. he actually did the live action scenes from The Page Master. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
He also did The Rocketeer.
Yeah. I mentioned The Rocketeer.
Sorry.
So he actually begged Spielberg to do The Lost World initially.
All right.
He really wanted to make a Jurassic movie, but then Spielberg said, "Don't worry, if we do a third one, I promise you'll be the one." So yeah, later on he does end up helming it. But this movie also, I won't get into it, but it also went through a lot of rewrites.
I can tell.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
Later on,
story they started out with?
What's that?
What was the story they started out with? Because it's so generic for Jurassic Park standards. Like, a kid gets lost on an island and they have to rescue the kid and that's it?
Well, that's the problem, is that they had a lot of interesting ideas, but they all stripped that away to just, because I think Joe Johnston also just wanted to make it like a straightforward, 90-minute monster movie, which is essentially what it is.
Yeah.
You'll have to look more up on it. I'm not too familiar on it. The only thing I do know is that what they wanted to bring back was the shaving cream canister with the embryos in it.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, the bar, what's that brand called again?
InGen, a competitor of InGen's.
No, I'm talking about the brand of shaving cream that was...
I don't even remember that.
Carrying on.
Yeah, anyways. But that was supposed to be, like, brought into play in the third movie, but then they scrapped that. So, honestly, this is going to be the shortest summary ever. Alan Grant says, I don't want to go back to the island. And then this fucking the Kirby couple, played by William H. Macy and
Téa Leoni.
Yeah, Téa Leoni. Were like, basically, they essentially fucking lie to him and say, we just want you to go to the island just to fly around, show us some sights. Okay, and we'll pay you a nice check. Okay. Turns out that the Kirbys have a son named Eric.
Something like that, yeah.
It was Eric, yeah.
Eric, yeah, who went parasailing with his stepfather, and they got lost, and no one can do about it to rescue them, so they end up just trying to get Alan Grant to go back.
First of all, the stepfather's a fucking dumbass taking a kid to a dinosaur infested island.
And if it's restricted, how is it so easy to get there?
That's another good point. Well, they got there on a little speedboat, and I guess they slipped past the Costa Rican authorities guarding the island or something.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when they get there, it just jumps so fast into the action. Like, two people get picked off right away, right?
Yeah.
And essentially, it's just Alan Grant and the fucking Kirbys, and what's the other guy's name? Billy? Is that his name?
Yeah,
Billy.
I like how you always call the Kirbys by the fucking Kirbys.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely don't like them.
They're evil.
No, they're annoying too, and useless.
Their lies effectively get 3 people killed.
Yep.
Yeah.
All over their goddamn thing. But they took weeks to get to him.
And they nearly get Billy killed.
That's true.
Yeah. It is literally just a fucking it's so straightforward of a sequel. It's watchable, whatever.
I don't know. It's pretty dumb in my book, but yeah.
It's watchable, and just if you want to turn off your brain and watch a dumb monster, or not just a dumb dinosaur movie, it's fine. But it's so straightforward to the point that it's pointless.
Yeah.
It's a very get in, get out kind of movie, and I don't know. It doesn't really do much for me, despite the fact that I watched it probably just as much as the first two as a kid.
The only scene that really, really made me unsettled was when they're not pterodactyls, but they're those giant pteranodons. When one of them turns and faces the camera, and its narrow beak just kind of makes it look so evil.
Yeah.
There's a gif of it, and it always makes my skin crawl the way it just turns its head around like that.
The Tarragon sequence is effective for what it is. Just it being a foggy bird cage, and just the fact that it's something new. We haven't really seen that before. I don't know. It's...
The only problem is that there's a major flaw at the end where it shows them flying off into the sunset, and they see those things flying away, and it's oh, look at them. Bitch, you almost got eaten by those fucking things. I don't want them to be in civilization.
And not only that, well, not only that, it's not only that, it's the fact that these things are now free. They're gonna get like off the island and kill people. It's like, why is this movie ending on like a happy
Yeah,
note?
exactly. It's so weird and confused. There's a lot of bits and ideas that are so bad that I don't even know how they got off the page. Like the fact that the main big dinosaur, stupid fucking thing, Spinosaur is that what's called?
Spinosaurus.
Yeah, the dumbass Spinosaur. And you know how in Jaws it's like da dum da 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 da. It's like almost like a leitmotif or something. This damn
Yeah.
thing has a ringtone inside of its body because it ate a victim that had a cell phone in it. And anytime it appears, it's like I don't know the ringtone, but it's just some stupid ringtone. And then it hard cuts to the dinosaur just standing there, and it totally makes me not take it seriously.
And they fucking have
Culminates.
Alan Grant and Ellie Sadler not be a couple anymore. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
Like-
that was annoying too. Oh, but the cream of the crop is like when they find like all this dinosaur shit, and they hear
Literal shit.
yeah they hear the ringtone, and Alan Grant has to dig through a pile of dinosaur shit, pull out the cell phone, and he puts his face right up to it and he answers it like hello. And I was like, okay, I give up.
And then that fucking dinosaur, like
You said
that
that
dinosaur the dinosaur that shows up and was like, it was about to eat them until it must have like sniffed and went, "Fuck this, I'm out."
yeah.
It looks just like that dinosaur from Disney's Dinosaur. If you guys remember that.
Yeah.
The Aladar thing. Yeah.
That was that was a Carnotaurus in Dinosaur, and I read it that apparently that was also a Carnotaur, but it looks more like a Ceratosaurus.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know.
I was a
breeds and all
dinosaur
that.
nut when I was a kid, so
Yeah.
Okay. You were Timmy.
yeah, I was Timmy. I was the fucking kid from Jurassic World who had that kid with the long curly hair was me at the age of 13. Like literally me. He even cried
Yeah.
like I did when I was 13.
Well, yeah. Now that leads us into, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to say about the first three? I guess the Jurassic Park trilogy, as I'll say.
I don't know. It got worse and worse, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
not entirely. I thought Jurassic. Can we get into Jurassic World now?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
expected.
No, I was meant as a trilogy. Like, it gets weaker and weaker with each installment.
Yeah.
We're getting into
Well,
a very big
then
franchise.
A big whopping 14 years go by, and like as each year goes by, you're thinking like you think, okay, well, there's clearly not much we can do with the Jurassic Park movies. Clearly, it's meant to be. We can't go back to it
Yeah.
until, yeah, like the trailer. I'll admit, guys, that fucking first trailer for Jurassic World got me excited.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It did it perfect. It did its fucking job. You bring this park to life, and then shit is gonna probably hit the fan, I guess. And you play that John Williams music of dun dun na 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 na. You got me in the fucking theater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get Colin Trevorrow on board, who was fresh off of making a really great indie film that you guys should see called Safety Not Guaranteed.
I've seen it.
I
It's pretty
love
good.
that movie.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a really good one. And Spielberg saw that and was just like, I fucking love this guy. We need to have him on board. And yeah, now Lord and Behold is Jurassic World. So the park is now made. And right there, I'm going to stop you guys. Right there. I'm stopping it.
Yeah.
How did they get this park how did they get this island under control? What was the process on making this park after all these incidences? They gloss over that completely at the beginning, and that is my first problem with Jurassic World, is that the inciting incident until this hybrid genetically modified dinosaur known as the Indominus Rex escapes and starts running amok. It's like a half an hour into the movie, and it all just feels so rushed. And like, I wanted some time to like get to like know how this park functions. How did they get this island under control? Like, what was the process behind this? It didn't feel like there was a lot of like objective sides. All it was really just Chris Pratt's character Owen saying like, if people are really wowed with dinosaurs, then they should just move on from it. Whatever. It's like there's not really like a great objective point in this movie, and that's the frustrating thing about it.
Well, I think the Hollywood was trying to make a statement like, you know, we made this amazing movie that wowed people years ago, but no one's impressed by that anymore. We need to make something cooler and scarier and crazier so that consumers will buy. And by the way,
Yeah,
Bryce Dallas Howard's character in the first Jurassic World, I thought was annoying, but then in the second movie, she's ironically not that bad, and I hate Fallen Kingdom.
I like Jake Johnson's character because he's basically like the audience.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, we repackaged this again. Great.
that I love how he says that first park was legit, man.
yeah,
Yeah, that was the
It's like,
yeah.
how do you, that park wasn't even functional yet. Like, I get what you're trying to do with that line. You're trying to say that first Jurassic Park movie was better. It's
yeah.
like the
Well,
whole movie,
he
the whole movie is literally just making wink winks like we're not good of a movie. The original movie is better than us. It's like,
Yeah.
now that's something I wanted to point out is that all these movies, well, not all of them, not the first one, but all these sequels, they point out the bad logic in so much that I'm not entirely sure if it was supposed to be like meta. Like, I don't know. I don't, because it feels like the producers and writers are just coming up with bullshit reasons and excuses to make more movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, they literally stayed aligned. Like, Ian Malcolm says in The Lost World Jurassic Park, taking dinosaurs off this island is the worst idea in the long, sad history of bad ideas. And what do they do in the next movie, Fallen Kingdom? Essentially that.
no, Fallen Kingdom. I talked about this in our very first So to Speak episode. Fallen Kingdom to me is like The Lost World, but done badly.
And
Yeah, no, it is beat for
Place
beat
in
The
a
Lost
mansion.
World. It's shockingly the same movie.
It's
But yeah, sorry. So, yeah.
Jurassic World. I mean, Lyle's right. They don't spend half of the Lost World on the mainland. You're only on the mainland for 15 minutes at the end. But in Fallen Kingdom, that is the only Jurassic Park movie where more than half of it does not take place on an island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, with Jurassic World, like I actually came into terms what the movie was as I was watching it the first time in theaters. I just kind of went, well, it's a monster movie,
Yep.
and I was kind of let down, but at the same time, I was entertained by the movie. Like it's a out of all the recent summer blockbusters that have come out, it's at least one where it felt like there was a bit of a. It didn't feel as studio compromised as much of these movies are, you know.
Yeah.
yeah, I see what you mean.
Like there's some fun stuff in it. Like the gyrosphere idea is an interesting concept of a ride at Jurassic Park. I mean the characters in this movie are complete cardboard cutouts. Like there's no
Yeah.
character to anybody.
Yeah.
You know what could have saved Chris Pratt's character Owen
What?
is if he had the Indianapolis speech scene.
Yeah.
Like he needed a scene in that, like what I'm referring to as Jaws, like Quint's Robert Todd's
yeah,
character.
a monologue.
Just,
Okay.
just having like a monologue or just like a very great character defining moment where you're like, okay, I get who you are. I get why you are a raptor whisperer. I can't say that profession without laughing. It's like, all right, Mr. Owen, your resume says that you are a raptor whisperer. It's like, hey, Owen, what do you do for a living? I'm a raptor whisperer. But kind of a fun, stupid, dumb climax too, where it's like basically, again, it's just basically them trying to say Jurassic Park is better than this movie. We're gonna have a T-Rex and a raptor defeat the Dominus Rex.
Yeah.
Can I just say that the special effects on the T-Rex really are pale by comparison of the original?
Yeah.
Like it looks so much weaker than the very first one, which astonishes me.
With the exception of that really touching moment where they're touching that dead, uh, what's the breed?
Apatosaurus.
Yeah, a touching scene with that where it's dying. It's like that's the only practical animatronics that are in that movie, and everything else is CGI.
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed out about that because I read, I mean, that they wanted to get more animatronics in this movie and kind of capture that same feeling. But again, the whole movie just feels so rushed and just it's trying to get itself over with to get to the fucking action. It's just like,
Yeah.
is that the mentality of today's movies? Like, can we not have the lunch scene anymore?
Guess not.
Yeah.
That's my fucking rant. It's just like, just today movies, can we not like also it took like an hour into the first Jurassic Park for like shit to hit the fan where the T-Rex actually like breaks free out of the fence.
Yeah.
And in Jurassic World, it's like a half an hour where they're just like, wait, it's not in the cage. Oh, wait, it is. Oh, no, we left the door open. Oh, we're fucked. That's essentially what happened.
Yeah. Another thing I gotta mention is Bryce Dallas Howard's high heels running away from the T-Rex. I can believe that dinosaurs can be cloned back into existence. I can believe that people would be stupid enough to take them off their island and onto the mainland. But never in 65 million years will I ever believe that you, Miss Hottie Pants, can outrun a T-Rex in high heels without dying.
Yeah, that's true.
Guys,
Yeah, did you guys have anything to say about Jurassic World?
I might retire pretty soon, unless we're gonna.
Well, that's kind of all we have to say at this point.
Okay, so.
Well, no, I mean, I didn't really say much. I wanted to say, like, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is actually the one that killed it for me. Like, I didn't see this in theaters because I thought the whole idea of this movie looked fucking stupid. I mean,
We gotta save the dinosaurs.
just the. What's that?
We gotta save the dinosaurs.
Yeah, but as much as I hated Fallen Kingdom, I am actually looking forward to Dominion because the ending of Fallen Kingdom set up a movie that I actually think might be interesting.
Humans and dinosaurs coexisting.
And they're bringing back the cast members of The Lost World and the first one. They're bringing back Laura Dern, Sam Neill, Julianne Moore. I hope they don't bring back William H. Macy or Téa Leoni, for fuck's sake.
The fucking curves. That's what I'm gonna.
No, I actually disagree with you, Evan. Like, I find that, like, the ending of this movie, Fallen Kingdom, doesn't make the next one feel earned. Because it's so forced to just get dinosaurs out in the open in the real world.
Yeah. How
It's so dumb, like-
how it got there was horrible, but the end product might be interesting. That's what I'm getting at.
Why would they? Did they not know that there was an active volcano on this fucking island? And it's like, okay, then just take them from one island to the other island.
Yeah.
There's 2 islands. Did they forget about that?
Cody, they clearly did not want to spend expenses. They spared the expenses on that one.
And instead they have a fucking auction with rich people going, I'd like to buy that dinosaur. Ha,
Yeah.
ha, ha. It's so
I hated that
cartoony.
scene.
It's so cartoony. It's so stupid. And then they start cloning humans. Like, it's just this fucking franchise has just gone off the rails.
Yeah.
It really has.
They turn just a minor character in the first movie, Henry Wu, to like a comical Frankenstein billionaire evil genius.
Oh
guy.
my! What was that? That was horrible.
Yeah, like, and honestly, the next one has my curiosity. I'll say that.
It
That's true.
has my curiosity too.
It just, as much as it doesn't feel earned, it has my curiosity, but I'll be fucking done with these movies after that. So, in long story short, should have been the first Jurassic Park, and just I would have accepted Lost World as just an average follow-up to the events of the first movie, but just leave it alone. Actually, it summarizes both my picks for franchises that should have died, both Terminator and Jurassic Park, is that stop going back. Stop going back in time and stop going back to the fucking island filled with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so repetitive.
Yeah. Anyways,
Alright, gentlemen, I gotta hit the hay.
this has been fun.
Yes, it has.
This has been fun.
I think I've lost my voice a bit.
Same. Yeah. Well, but yeah, it's been a ride. Some Hollywood, I think, sometimes needs to just ease up on the whole capitalizing on franchises. Sometimes you just gotta close a book and keep it closed. You know.
Yeah.
Come up and open a new book. Write new books.
Take risks, make mistakes, and get messy. Well,
As long as being messy, you know, makes money.
that's the problem. It's gotta.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Anyways, thank you and good night.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, good night.